from the Heilige Piaseczner. Okay, so the boys say Chazara on what we've said and learned from the Piaseczner till now, and then we're going to continue Be'ez Hashem with the help of Siyata D'Shmai, and hopefully the Heilige Neshama, the Piaseczner of Klemus Kalmush Ben Rebbe Melech will come down here and give us clearly what he's trying to give us over from his Maimer. So just to recap, the Heilige Piaseczner had a very interesting ha'ara on the famous Gemara, Megillah, and through that we'll be able to understand the holiness and the greatness of the Yom Tov Purim. Now he says like this, Gemara tells us that when Haman threw the lottery and it came out in Chodesh Adar, he was thrilled, he was exalted, he was so excited. He's like, wow, obviously that Hashem is with me, knock him out. Why is that? Because the month of Adar is the month that Moshe Rabbeinu passes away. Symbolizes that their leader sim is over. Gewaldig. That was the Simcha of Haman. Well, tonight Zayin Adar Baruch Hashem, Gemara says, but what Haman did not know was, yes, it was the Petira of Moshe Rabbeinu Zayin Adar, but Zayin Adar was also the day that Moshe Rabbeinu was born. That's the day that he came to the world. And when the tzaddik soul is revealed to the world, that's a symbolization of the Savior of Klal Yisrael coming into the world and the koyach of Geula that comes with Moshe Rabbeinu. So therefore, it was to our benefit that the Goyrel was in Adar because of Moshe Rabbeinu's birthday. Asks the Holy Piaseczner, I'm bothered by the Gemara. Because yes, the Gemara says that Haman didn't know it was his birthday. But if you look at it chronologically, the birthday was first. It was a great day. And later, he passed away. That means that the last event that happened with Moshe Rabbeinu was his passing. So that's a sad day. So if anything, Haman is correct. Because the end of the story is that it ended up, the leader passes on. So what's the simcha that Moshe Rabbeinu's birthday, which was an event that happened prior to the final event? So the Heilige Piaseczner goes on to the most awesomest explanation before we get to the teretz of a tremendous important tool in Avodas Hashem. Tayr Bride, Heilige Piaseczner, shine upon ourselves the Heilige soul and teaching that we should be able to get and give it over clearly without any mistakes, and to walk with tremendous chizuk and understand what he's saying. So he says like this, we have a job to remember Hashem. When we remember Hashem, Hashem remembers us. What do you mean? Hashem don't remember us, we don't remember Him? Of course not. Hashem is always the Ayin Raya at all times. What's the Nakuda? The Nakuda is the way that is brought down in many Svarim, as I mentioned earlier, that when a Yid is bedvekes, when a Yid thinks about the Eibishter, when Yid is tuned into Hashem, and he's making his boinanus, when a person's thinking about the Eibishter, that creates a panim bepanim relationship with the Eibishter, face-to-face relationship with the Eibishter. When a person is in the awareness that the Eibishter is with him at all times, so then the presence, the Shekhinah, is with him at all times. As the Heilige Chavos Halvavos tells us, that when a person thinks that all of his Yeshuas, all of his salvations come from sources other than the Eibishter, so very strong, Chavos Halvavos says, whatever that means also, the Eibishter takes away his ashkach from that guy. He's like, oh yeah, you figured it out. Shalom, see you later. Yeah, so that's not good. That's not safe. That's not gishmak, right? So when the Yid remembers the Eibishter, Kiviyachol, that means he's doving. He's being misboinen in the Metzias that the Eibishter is mamala the entire world. He fills up the entire world. Every spot is full of the Eibishter. He's mesabav above the worlds and higher. It's all one Metzias that the Eibishter is everywhere and anywhere at all times. So then he knows that he's in the presence, the Eibishter is with him as well. And that's a very, very big avodah that a person needs to do at all times. Now that we said that the importance is to remember the Eibishter, the Indian of remembrance, because when we remember the Eibishter, that's a zechira, but there's an Indian of zechira, means when a person remembers something, it's in his mind. Because the Piaseczner now will say a scientific fact, a psychological fact, how memory works. One can only remember something when it gets implanted in his own brain. If it's something that a guy says, listen, take down this number, is that what the guy's like, what are you saying? You heard it, but your head wasn't there, it wasn't implanted, so it goes in this way, and I didn't even think it makes it through the whole head this way, it falls right back out the same ear. It's over. You didn't get it because it wasn't implanted into your brain. Remember, memory works that you implement that piece of information, that it becomes your piece of information, not the other's information. He says clearly, you cannot remember somebody else's piece of brain. Doesn't work that way. Person says, a chiddush, a good word. If you don't sit there and get moved and is spoiled, meaning having a proper spilus, like being moved, being made, they have a spilus, right? That is completely overtaken by that vart, that it becomes his own vart, you will not remember it, right? A person that hears a good thing that you want to say over, and a person that hears machlal, something he wants to remember. So he says, one second, let me hear it again. Wow, whoa, that's amazing. What happens when he says that's amazing? That means that it was created now in his brain. Now it's his piece of information. That's something to do. Okay, now what's the teretz? And I didn't get it because I didn't implement it yet. One more time, let me think about it. How does it work? Oh, I got it. Oh, what's that? I got it. That it was implemented. So it's not anymore his piece of information, some other piece of information. It's now your information. It becomes yours. It's in your brain. Now you can remember it forever. He says, the same thing is, chas v'chalila, that if a person, chas v'chalila, right, here, this works in a negative influence also. A person that sadly is very taken over by taiva. He's a bal taiva. When he himself is in a matzav that he's not doing anything proactive, and his mind is creating taiva in his own mind, that is the most dangerous territory. Why? Because that taiva is not stam an outside thought, it becomes a piece of his own essence, becomes his own brain. And in order to take that out, that's a lot of brain surgery to remove that from your brain cells, because it's yours. Rather, and there's a lesser type, that when a person hears something or sees something, maybe you shouldn't have seen for a second, if it just passes through, you don't allow it to become yours, then you can knock it out. If all of a sudden a person sees something or hears something you shouldn't have, and he's spoiled, it's like, that's very, very strong, because that'll be in your memory forever. So therefore, a person has to be very careful when it comes to things that are no good, that it doesn't become implemented in him. We want only good things to be implemented, and that's how Zikaron works. Now he says like this, about the Piaseczner, about Emunah. It is not enough to hear Emunah from somebody else. Person goes to Shuir, I'm all inspired, I heard Emunah. I'm sorry to tell you, nothing doing. Why? Because you just heard it, and you continue going, and it wasn't anything. Person has to acquire his own Emunah. His boinanus is supposed to bring somebody that he has to have what's called in the Svar Makdoshim, he has to make his own chakira kiviyachol. Now we're not talking about the chakiras of the philosophers to find out if God exists or not. No, we have Emunah pshuta, we have an Emunah tahira, a pure Emunah that we've accepted from our parents, from our Rabbeim, dor achar dor, from Moshe Rabbeinu. But I don't allow it to sit just as a pass around from generation to generation, because Piaseczner are very, very sharp. He says, if it's only something that I heard from my parents, so you were Mekayim Kibbut Avayim for listening to your parents, you are not Mekayim Emunah, because it's not your Emunah, it's their Emunah. So what does he say? He says, Avada, the Emunah that you want to implement within yourself, is the Emunah that came dor achar dor. Of course, because chas v'chalila, person thinks he's creating his own Emunah, big trouble, Hashem Yerachim. No. It's not what I'm saying. And Piaseczner says very sharp, whoever thinks that's what I'm saying, it means you missed my whole speech. Piaseczner writes that himself in the Maimer. He says this himself. He says, of course, the Emunah I'm talking about is the Emunah that was passed on dor achar dor. But what I'm saying is, don't let it just be a catch, that you caught the Emunah from the previous generation and I'm going to throw it right into the next generation. No, make that Emunah yours. That means that a person has that Emunah tahira that we learn from the Chavis Alvavas, they learn from the Svarim Akdoshim, from the Tzaddikim that we're connected to, from the Emunah tahira that was passed on dar achar. And I think and I contemplate this Emunah, and I'm taken over that I created this Emunah. Is not some theory theory that I've heard, and this is what we believe, and I'm going to go weiter. No, this is a theory that I've created in my essence, and now my Emunah is so real that it's me that really believes that the Eibishter is completely with me at all times, and there's no other force in the world besides the Koyach Amitiyus of the Eibishter, who's the Mamalkom. It's me. It's me when I heard the Emunah, and I've learned the Emunah from our Rabbeim, and I sat, and I was choyker v'dorish that this Emunah was in my own mind now, and therefore my Emunah was completely integrated into me, that this is the way I believe, be'emes, not because it's something that was given over to me. It's because I've seen and I've understood that this is the real Emunah. This is for real. This is what I want. This is me. This is my essence. So that Emunah is acquired for real. What does he say? He says like this. Yeah. Meaning?
How do you know that you're really doing the money you've got? It's like embedded into you. It's engraved into you. It's not just. How can you test yourself?
You don't have to test yourself. The Eibishter tests you. There's enough nisyonis that go on, and it depends how a person deals with these nisyonis. If a person is mamish and the nisyon comes his way, yeah, he's mamish. He's like, listen, no sweat. Feel me? No sweat. I know the Eibishter is here with me. That's real. So all of a sudden the things start getting, it's like, help me. 1 second. It's your Emunah. You know what I mean? People have, the person that has the clarity and the sanity of Emunah, so you know that it became yours. It's not just something that somebody told you, a piece of information. It's something that's within you for real, and also we have to, Baruch Hashem, we know that something which was given over to us in our DNA from our Rabbeim and from our parents that's within us, that we're zoichet, that this Emunah, when we contemplate and make it ours, that it really does become ours. So now he says like this. Now we're up to the part that he says as follows. There's another very important part of this essence. And that is, part of this Emunah, he teaches a very interesting teaching in the Pasuk, Mi besorai echez elika. From my flesh I see Hashem. Yeah, so simple teaches that a person looks at the way the the anatomy of the body, you can't say that there's no Hashem. There's every part, everything works. No professor in the world was able to create a human, no matter how many times they tried. The closest they get is a plastic piece of robot. You can't make it from mi besor yechzelika. The Heilige Piaseczner says, mi besor yechzelika. Mi besor means that it became just like my flesh. It became a part of me. That's why I see the Eibishter. I didn't just see the Eibishter something which is a thing in passing. Mi besor, I've made it mine. He says, my Emunah. That's how I see the Eibishter. This is along the lines that he's saying. Mi besor yechzelika pashut is how I see clearly Eibishter makes runs the world. Says the Piaseczner, another pshat, based on what we've been saying the whole time, that mi besori echzelika, I see the Eibishter mi besori from my own flesh, that it's my eigen Emunah, not just an Emunah which I've heard and seen, and it's my own work. It becomes it becomes my own, and therefore he says it's a very. So how do you? And then he says the importance of this is that even though it's impossible to know completely the greatness of the Eibishter, because the Eibishter is Ligdula Sayin Cheker. Impossible. But there's an akuda where I could be 1,000,000,000,000% sure that I know how the Eibishter is Kula Yemes, like the Rebbe teaches in Kutim Aran, right, in Sichas Aran, that the famous words that he says, Ki ani yodati. I can't write it out to you on paper, and I can't even tell it over to you. But I know it, I got it, it's part of me, it's my essence. I know the Eibishter is real. That came through my Emunah, through my ability of making it my own inyan. That's why it's ki ani yadati, because it's me besori. I know for sure. I've mamish seen the Eibishter, and not that I've seen the whole thing because of Glas and Cheker. Right? There's no soif, ain't soif, ain't tachlis. The Eibishter is kiviyachum. But he says like this: in order to make something yours, there has to be a you. If there's no you can't have anything. It's this is very Piaseczner. The voice is so awesome, so sweet, so deep. If there's no you, then you can't bring something else in. He says, for example, you want to remember somebody that's not here, someone that passed away. If he hasn't left over a metzius of himself, meaning something about himself, a metzius, meaning that what did he leave over? He left the metzius of his existence, meaning we have teachings, we have Torah, we have some inspiration, something. So then a person deceases, there's no way how to attach ourselves to him. There's no way how to even try to remember that essence, because if there's no essence, there's nothing to remember. So a person has to know like this. And this is what's called in other svarim, the ayin, aniva ayin. You have to have an ani, which is myself, to have an ayin, which is a bittul, a nullification. And through, how do I build that ayin? How do I build that ani? Interesting, you love that ani is built through the ayin. It works, you have to have an ayin that builds an ani that comes back to an ayin. Right? Ayin, not the ayin is the same lettering. Aleph Yud Nun is ayin, means that non-existence, and ani is the same. What does that mean? So the Nakuda is that I have to know, what does it mean when I remember the Eibishter and the Eibishter remembers me? What does that mean? Well, we said earlier, I have to remember the Eibishter and the Eibishter remembers me. Explains the Heilige Piaseczner. When I think about the Eibishter, and I know, and I'm remembering the Eibishter, you know what I'm remembering? I'm remembering that I'm a creation of the Eibishter. It's B'ni B'chori Yisrael, right? I'm Kiviyachol, a son of the Eibishter, the B'chor of the Eibishter, the oldest child of the Eibishter. Not only that, we have another Chazal that give us, right? We have a terminology called Koyach HaPoyel Benifel. The koyach of the worker is all in the boss. That means, right, that the typical example is if I have a earthenware kli, right, the way it was created, totally, right, an expert could see that and say that suit. I know it's clearly a Johnny. Who knows what? How do you know? I see it. I see the worker, right? A person can see when a person davens. So, right, you're clearly from that Rebbe. How do you know? I just see your whole action, your whole koyach, whole existence is that Rebbe, right? Person, tzaddikim were able to see physically, mamish, the spirituality, they're able to look at something and mamish see the essence of the Creator. Koyach hapoyel benifel. Yeah. There's the hele gemaakt van Moshe Tov. Yeah. Goede gaat vader in nooit de heine maar gewoon misschien kunnen hier bedoelen. A person, if a person looks at the world, which is the creation, you see clearly the Creator. That's part of Mebisar Yechzulika. Person, that's what Rebbe says, that you have to be mistakel b'chol dover and see that it's all the Eibishter. Person could be able to look and see. There were levels that were so high that the Balatanya was able to see. He said, at the end of his life, he didn't see any more the form of Gashmish to the world. He said all he saw was the names of Hashem that held everything into existence. That's what a high level he was at. He was able to see. There was another story with the Heilige Ropshitzer, and I don't remember the other tzaddik that was there. That they were able to. He said he saw a cup, a glass cup, maybe like a coffee cup, like a teacup or something, and he said, "I'm holding at the level that by me, I see the essence of that is all shemus." And he said he looked at the shemus, he was machavan the shemus, and the cup completely disintegrated. And he said, "I'm holding at a higher level. I'm hiring a level." And he looked at the cup, came back to existence. He's like, I'm looking, I see the existence of the cup is Hashem. I don't have to go and go to make everything look, I see that even when it's in its physical standpoint, that it's Hashem, which is a higher level. Because even when it stays that's in Gashmius, I still see that it's all the letters of Hashem. It's a metzius that everything, the koyach hapoyel is benifel. It's all, every koyach that we have, the Bnei Saschar says. As Bnei Saschar writes in his Hanhagis, in his behavior mannerism, how a person should behave, that every morning after Negel Vasher, after he says Modani, before he gets out of his bed, he should remember that every move I make is all the Eibishter's koyach. Anything I do is the Eibishter's koyach, because it's koyach hapoyel benifel. Anything that I do, I'm just representing it's a koyach of the Eibishter. So when I have Zechira in Hashem, what does that mean? When I remember the Eibishter, I remember that my whole existence, the koyach of my etzem, the only reason why I am anything is because of the nifel. is because of the Creator. That means that my whole existence is only in existence because it's the Eibishter's existence. If the Eibishter doesn't bestow upon me that koyach, oh boy, disappear in a second. No existence, no koyach. So that means that a person's misboin and remembers the Eibishter. I remember my whole essence, my whole koyach is the Eibishter's koyach. And therefore, when I have that, kiviyachol, it says the Eibishter remembers me. What does the Eibishter remember? That means I've completely come back to Mitzvah where I'm maked that everything is Hashem. So therefore Hashem says, this is a guy I want to rob. So therefore, kiviyachol, he beams back that awesome light of himself into this existence, because he's in existence, because he knows his existence is the Eibishter. Now the Eibishter says, this is an existence, this is a koyach that I want to need around the world. So he shines back, so kaviyachol, he gets recreated right now, because of his remembrance of the Eibishter. That means when I remember the Eibishter, what happens? Therefore Hashem decides to recreate me on a greater level. It's an aras panim, it's called. That's panim b'panim. It's a big yichud. When a person remembers the Eibishter and beseeches heaven and cries out, Hashem, I know the whole essence of my existence, everything's happening is all you. The Eibishter shoos back to him huge light. And what happens at that time? That means the person has a fresh or. That means that the whole essence of this person was newly existed. Because I've just accepted from the Eibishter a whole new, because now he remembered me. What does it mean he remembered me? He's shown his light now into me, because he says, this is someone worth it to put my light. This is someone can die. This is a creation that's mamish remembering. This is part of it. This is the relationship. We know today in scientific, a person can be in one part of the world and can be thinking about somebody else in the other part of the world, and all of a sudden the guy calls him and is like, I was just thinking about you. I was just thinking about you, right? And it's real, because when a person feels something to somebody, it feels back the other way. How much more so to the Eibishter? When I'm feeling to the Eibishter, even though the Eibishter doesn't, the Eibishter doesn't need all this, the Eibishter's king of the world, of course, it's all about us and our relationship to the Eibishter, but that's how it works. When I remember the Eibishter, when I'm thinking about the Eibishter, and I realize my koyach is the Eibishter says, sends me back a phone call that way. He says, I'm thinking about you too. That means he's sending me a new Indian of, I'm being recreated, I'm being re-existed. And that's all, and it's a higher level to a greater level. And the more a person works this out, the greater a person, the more a person's in the emissary, the more a person remembers, the feelings are much greater, right? As you know, today in psychology, the more I mamish feel the feelings towards something, the more I'm attached and living that Indian, right? A person has a good friend that his mamish thinking about. They're just thinking about it and finding it. But his mamish thinking about it, he gets completely taken over by it. His existence becomes so much greater that the connection and that chibur becomes much greater. That's how it works to both ways. The light, the greatness, and tzaddikim, that they're zoichet to such a huge kashrus, right? That their mom is completely in the belief, 100%, that there's nothing else but the Eibishter. They're just beaming them light like crazy, right? And that's how we're misdavik to the tzaddikim, in order to bring us up to level, in order to have the koyach, to accept that light as well, to have that light, to remember the Eibishter in order to get back more. Says the Hedge Piaseczner. Right? A person, sometimes the question is, but in order to be that metzius, that ani, in order to be something that I remember the Eibishter, I have to really know, like I said, without saying the words, I have to know who I am. Who am I? If I'm in existence, what is my existence? So we already jumped, we said the existence is all the Eibishter's koyach. But that means a person has to know what his essence of true existence is. If I'm in existence and I'm creating myself, what's my existence? He says there's a lot of times a person could see, right? He sees the flesh on his skin. Who am I? This is me. Person says, this is my pizza, this is my bread, this is my meat. That's not who you are. No, this is. You hear that? This is food. This is cow. You know, that's what this is. This is tree. That's what this is. That's not me. You know who's me? My soul is me. My neshama is me. The big tzaddikim that there was Zoiche, the name of the Melech is right, so it's going to be in 2 weeks. Right? He said, Halavai, people should have such a holy soul like my guf. Because his guf, anything he ate was kulei likus. When he ate, it wasn't no basa behema, it was a likus. That's the ultimate. That's what he said. Even they're mamish, the lightest, brightest thing in the world, because that's the essence of who they are. Because they're whole. But so therefore, when a person realizes that it's etzim, like in Shemayim, the way they look at you. In Shemayim, they don't look at you if you're overweight or not. They don't look. They see in Shemayim the real you. They see your soul. They see your action, your mitzvahs. The soul has different parts of the soul, different revelations how the soul, machshava, dibur, maisa, these different ways how the soul gives off. They look at your soul. So therefore, sometimes a person says, "Yeah, I know it's my soul. I know it's my neshama." Says the Piaseczner. But sometimes what a person thinks is his neshama, it's not even his neshama. And not only that, it hurts his neshama. Why? Because we just said your machshava dibur maisa is part of the way your neshama is a neshama part of activities. But what if my machshava dibur maisa, right? My thought, speech, and action are not the way it should be. So then that's not neshama. That's goof. That's definitely not Gilur Elikus, revelation of God. So sometimes that person can even convince himself that he's mamish God is neshama, and it's nothing to do with his neshama. And the contrary, he can be killing his neshama, he can be dehydrating his neshama. When a person mamish thinks he did some big, deep thinking, and he found the soul, into the soul. Meanwhile, he's into who knows what. He's all gaiva, and who knows what other averis could be in there. You know what I mean? So the real person is the way Hashem sees that person, which is the true essence of his neshama, his true essence, that his devekas amitis, which is what, which is his emunah. Which is his emunah tahir. That's the real you. You're a real emunah. How much you are who you are is how much emunah you are. Because that emunah, how much you believe in the essence of the Eibishter, that's the scale, that's the vision that they're seeing you upstairs. They're like, 1 second, this guy's in the neshama. The neshama means his emunah, his betachin. So let's see what he's got. So it's not his machshava d'imais that he's thinking, my neshama, I'm so great, I learned so good, I daven so nice. Ouch! That kills the neshama. Neshama is how much I believe in the Eibishter, the mitzvahs of the Eibishter. How much is my soul feeling the mitzvahs and mitzvahs and the emunah tahir in the Eibishter. That's what they're seeing. That's what they're looking at. If it's mamish high, like tzaddikim, the mamish lessons, whoa, that's a big existence right there. If chas v'chalil, that's because that's a big neshama. The person chas v'chalil has got a little emunah, so then that's small existence. So a person has to mamish take what he was makabel from his rabbeim and his parents, darach ador, the emunah tahira, and mamish make that his and build and not allow it just to be a Yerusha, but it has to become his own essence, his emunah, that he has to make his nefesh and his shama, his emunah mitis real. And the more that it has to reveal the likus of his existence, how everything is the right, that it has to be a real yediyah, that everything is the Eibishter, a real zechira. And now he says like this. That's a huge unification that we have between the Eibishter and us. A huge yichud. Because that makes our chelik likus, that makes us a yid. That makes us Jewish. That makes us the real me. That makes us, the more I'm a yachid, the more I'm unifying the singing of my emunah and the Eibishter, that's how much I become more of an existence, a mitius. That's how much I'm more found in this world. That's how much my essences becomes revealed. That's my Yiddishkeit. That's my Yisraeli. What's my Yisraeli? Yasher Keil. That I'm directly connected to the Eibishter. That my essence is my emunah tahira. Now, all right? And that person, so there are many times also, that the mokum of this level might even be in the upper world. Might even be in the upper world. That means when a person's remembering the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is remembering him, that connection could be, right? It's a very high connection. It's a level that comes, like he says, like this. And right? He says like this, that the Metzius is that this mokum of this Yisraeli, this chelik likah, is really all the way up there. Because from his soul in this world, right? That's how much he's zoicha to create an or in the next world. However much I work to be megala, the emunah in this world, that's how much more Kaviyachal Eibishter remembers me and reveals more of my existence in the upper worlds. I become a bigger, the way, because again, their vision from up there is according to that avoida. Very, very deep, right? That the Metzius is, I'm working here to reveal my emunah. But the essence of this emunah, who I really am, is revealed up there. Because they're like, whoa, check out this soul. Big emunah, he's pounding away emunah. It's big. Right down here, we might not see it so clearly, but that's how they're seeing me. So it's revealed very strongly up there. Now, then they could shine, the Eibishter shines back to me so I become a greater entity of Emunah and Kedusha in this world. And then after that, I'm still misbelieving, and it goes crazy levels. It's not, no one's even at this level. The more a person works, up to the levels of the biggest tzaddikim. Who is the greatest? Moshe Rabbeinu. This, says the Piaseczner, says what Haman didn't get. He didn't know how to learn the Gemara. Moshe Rabbeinu died, right? He died. He's so excited. Jews are out. Mara says, no, he didn't know he was born. Question was, yeah, but the end of the story is that he died. What does it mean that he died? What does it mean that we say that Moshe Rabbeinu meis? Moshe Rabbeinu meis, and then we say Moshe Rabbeinu noilad. The Gemara's noilad is not talking about the old story that he was born 120 years earlier. Mara says Moshe Rabbeinu meis, but he was also born. What does that mean? Tzaddikim reach such a level of existence in the Eibishter. There's such a metzius of Emunah. They become such a revealed entity until mamish they're revealed so much that they're reborn out of this world into the next world. That Tzaddikim's death is not the end of a story. It's the beginning. It's a mazel tov. The baby was reborn in a different place called the Olam Haba, called the Olam Haemes. Means Moshe Rabbeinu, the Gemara says like this, Moshe Rabbeinu died, so therefore he was happy. Gemara says no, he didn't know he was born. What do you mean he was born? He was born after he died. So it wasn't that death was the last part of the chapter. Death was the new chapter of birth. He didn't realize that Moshe Rabbeinu was reborn, like we're talking about the metzius of finding oneself and becoming reborn because the Eibishter is remembering him, and the Eibishter is seeing that light of that soul. That means at that moment the person becomes reborn because he gets a new fresh light due to his remembrance of the Eibishter. We said, upon him. The Eibishter is shining that light. Tzaddikim that are zeichet to such a high light until mamish they've reached such a level that they can't be in existence anymore in this world. This world is too mitzumtzum. Their level is so great. Moshe Rabbeinu was the biggest Navi. Moshe Rabbeinu Kivyochel spoke pel pet to the Eibishter. So therefore, when the Eibishter shines, he's remembering the Eibishter on the greatest of levels. So the Eibishter is remembering him on the greatest levels. But the Eibishter remembers him on such a great level that when the Eibishter gives him that new koyach, when he's recreating, giving birth again to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's on such a great level that it's not anymore in this world. Because that's too great. That's what tzaddikim b'misasam is called greater. It says gedoyla tzaddikim b'misasam. They're even greater. What do you mean? They're not around. That essence can't be in this world. This world can't handle that Kedusha. You can't be that old in this world. This world, you reach a level that all of a sudden you have to be menutak from this world. You have to be completely. This essence, right, to a tzaddikim, like Rabbi Avraham HaMalach, the son of the holy Magadim, is rich. He was in such devekis that all of a sudden he just went up. That's it, because they reached such a level. This is the Nekuda that the Gemara says that he didn't know he was reborn. He was reborn. That means his essence became so great that he was reborn in the Olam Haemes. It was an essence of being reborn. So the question was, but the end of the story was he died. Then why he was born? He was born, yes, Yitaka was born Zainadar. But we're not talking about that birthday. We're talking about the birthday of now. Of after he passed away, of his rebirth, of his essence, of his Kedusha level, that he was with such devekis to the Eibishter, that it was recreated, a new essence of Moshe Rabbeinu in the Olam Haemes, the greatest level, the greatest revelation that cannot be in a Metzius in this world. And therefore, our Yeshua is greater than ever because Moshe Rabbeinu is a spashit b'chol dor v'dor, what the Gemara says. He's in every generation, the tzaddikim of Moshe Rabbeinu, tzaddikim are chai v'kayim. So therefore, that's why it was our biggest, that's what the Piaseczner says, that really that's why Purim is called after the Tzorah, why every other Yom Tov is named after the miracle. Pesach, that Hashem jumped over our houses instead of killing us like the Egyptian eldest. Sukkot was that we were in the Midbar so scared, but the Eibishter protected us with a sukkah. Shavuos, Matan Torah, the Eibishter gave us a Torah. Chanukah, Chanu Chafei, we rested. Purim is the day that he threw the lottery to knock us out. That's what we call the Yom Tov? Come on, call it, like what's the Purim? He says because this is what he didn't know. He didn't know this piece of Piaseczner. He didn't know this Gemara. It was the Yeshua when he made the lotto, and they used to laugh in his face. He pulled that Adar, and he's like, which one dies? Yeah, but you didn't know this Piaseczner that it was his birthday. That which already became so great that we have no asaga, elanu musik, we have no musik in the Eibishter, we have no musik in the Tzadikim, we have no musik in Moshe Rabbeinu, that he was reborn because his panim bepanim level, his level of remembering the Eibishter and therefore the Eibishter remembering him was so great and powerful that of course he was reborn. And Avadi was reborn. It was reborn on such a level that he was misbattled. It was over. But that koich is huge that we have to still nash from that koich, still have to get from that koich. And therefore it's our job today, Moshe Rabbeinu's Yortzeit, to focus so much on remembering the Eibishter every moment, and working to make ourselves more heilig, and remembering our whole essence, that everything that happens to us is cool, the Eibishter's koich. Everything that I do is the Eibishter. That helps us also from sinning, because I want to use the king's tools to go against him? Never, because all the koich of the Eibishter. And the more a person remembers that, the more the Eibishter shines in him. And that's in you. Sometimes we're on that level, sometimes we fall. Rotzi v'shoif. Tzaddikim are able to hold that level and mamish bust out of this world. But yes, we're still in here because the Torah is still alive and kicking. And he makes it to work. It's easy said, but now in order to work on it, and we could, it's level after level, it's fight after fight. But that's the mitzias of Zayin Adar, to remember that yes, Moshe Rabbeinu died, but Moshe Rabbeinu was reborn. That's our job. Our job is not to be dead. Our job is to realize that we have an entity, that our whole koich is the Eibishter. We remember that, so the Eibishter shines, beams back into us a whole new kedusha, a whole new level of chiyus, a whole new koich to be able to be misgaber weiter continuously, and to be able to get closer to him and closer to him. And mamish bizoicha to true devekus and true gilui lekus revelation of the Eibishter, until that levels of greatness and revelation will just create that. It will already be Mashiach and the Geulah Beis Hamikdash, and the Amalek won't have any shlita. It'll be completely wiped out. All the Ra will be completely wiped out, and it'll all be the kedusha, the tzadikim, Amiti, Mordechai, and Esther, and Beis Hamikdash, Mashiach, and Amen.